Hello and welcome. Tonight, we begin a slow journey into the ancient world of Greek mythology. We won't rush, we'll take our time, moving gently through the myths, the gods, and the legends, the way a quiet river flows through a valley. Greek mythology is not just a collection of stories, it is an entire world, imagined thousands of years ago by people looking up at the sky, wondering who made it, and why the sun rises each morning and falls each night. Before we meet Zeus, or Athena, or the other gods you may know, we must start at the very beginning, a time before the earth, before the sky, before anything existed. Chapter 1, the beginning. From chaos to creation, in the very beginning, there was nothing, no light, no sound, no sky, no land, only chaos. In Greek myth, chaos was not like the chaos we think of today. It was not noise or confusion. It was emptiness, a silent, endless void, stretching forever, without form, without meaning. From this void, slowly, shapes began to emerge. The first being was Gaia, the earth. She was solid, steady, and beautiful, the foundation of all things. Then came Nyx, the night. She was deep and mysterious, wrapping the world in shadows. And then Erebus, darkness itself. He lived beside Nyx, a pair of quiet beings, moving slowly through the stillness. From Gaia came Uranus, the sky. He covered her completely, stretching high above, his presence constant, like a protective roof over the earth. The first family of the universe, Gaia and Uranus, became the first great pair. Together, they had many children. Their first children were the Titans, giant, powerful beings, each with their own role to play in the world. One Titan was Oceanus, who became the endless river surrounding the earth. Another was Hyperion, the Titan of the sun. There was Dea, the shining goddess of sight and light, and Rhea, who would one day be the mother of the Olympian gods. But Gaia and Uranus also had stranger children, the Cyclopes, each with a single eye in the middle of the forehead, and the Hecatoncheires beings, with 100 hands. Uranus feared these children. He thought they were too strange, too powerful, and he locked them deep inside Gaia, causing her great pain. The plan for change. Gaia loved all her children, and she grew angry at Uranus for trapping them away. So she came up with a plan. She made a great, sharp sickle and called on her children to help her remove Uranus from power. Only one was brave enough to step forward. Kronos, the youngest of the Titans. He promised his mother that he would free his siblings and take Uranus's place. One night, when Uranus came to lie with Gaia, Kronos hid in the shadows, holding the sickle, and with one swift motion, he struck, the birth of a new age. Uranus was overthrown. From his fall, the blood that touched the earth gave rise to new beings, including the Furies and the goddess of love, Aphrodite, who would later play many roles in Greek stories. Kronos now ruled over the world. The time of the Titans had truly begun. This was called the Golden Age. It was a time of peace, a time when humans, newly made, lived freely, without work, without pain, without hunger. But this peace would not last forever. Chapter 2. The Fall of the Titans. Kronos now sat upon the throne of the world, tall, strong, and confident. He believed his reign would last forever, but Uranus, before he was overthrown, had whispered a prophecy. He told Kronos, "One day, one of your own children will rise against you, just as you rose against me." The words stayed in Kronos's mind like a shadow, always there, always watching. The fear of the prophecy, Kronos took Rhea, his sister, as his queen. Together, they began to have children. The first was Hestia, goddess of the hearth and home. Then came Demeter, goddess of the harvest, Hera, goddess of marriage, Hades, lord of the underworld, and Poseidon, ruler of the seas. But with each birth, Kronos' fear grew. The prophecy whispered in his ears, telling him one of these children would be his undoing. And so, Kronos decided that none of them should live to challenge him. The devouring of the children, one by one. As each child was born, Kronos would take them in his hands and swallow them whole to the outside world. It looked as if the children had never existed, but deep within his stomach, they remained alive, trapped in darkness. Rhea was heartbroken. She loved her children dearly, but could do nothing to stop her powerful husband until she became pregnant with her sixth child, the birth of Zeus. When the time came, Rhea made a plan. She called upon her parents, Gaia and Uranus, and begged for their help. They told her, when the child is born, hide him away and give Kronos something else instead. So when her son, Zeus, was born, she wrapped a stone in soft baby cloth and handed it to Kronos without suspicion. Kronos swallowed it whole. Meanwhile, Rhea secretly carried Zeus to the island of Crete and left him in the care of gentle nymphs. They raised him in a hidden cave, feeding him the milk of the magical goat, Amalthea, and protecting him from his father's eyes. The growth of Zeus years passed. Zeus grew strong, clever, and determined. He learned the ways of the world and the truth about his father. When he was ready, he sought the wisdom of the goddess Meekness, known for her intelligence and cunning plans. Together, they devised a way to free Zeus's siblings and to end the rule of Kronos. The challenge begins. Zeus returned, disguised as a servant in Kronos' court. He offered his father a drink, a special potion prepared by Metis. Kronos drank deeply, and suddenly felt a great stirring in his stomach. One by one, the children he had swallowed were released. First Hestia, then Demeter, then Hera, then Hades, then Poseidon. All emerged, grown and strong, and together they joined Zeus. The Titanomachy, the world trembled. It was the beginning of the Titanomachy, the great war between the Titans and the Olympian gods. For 10 years, the earth shook with the sound of battle. Mountains were thrown, seas boiled, and the sky split with lightning. The Titans fought with might and fury, but the Olympians had allies. Zeus freed the Cyclopes, who forged weapons for them, the thunderbolt for Zeus, the trident for Poseidon, and the helm of invisibility for Hades. The end of the Titan age at last. The Titans were defeated. Kronos and those who stood with him were cast into Tartarus, a dark, endless prison deep within the underworld. The age of the Titans was over, and the age of the Olympian gods had begun. Chapter 3: The Olympians and their realms, with the Titans defeated, and Kronos cast down into the darkness of Tartarus. A new order rose upon the world. The brothers, Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades, stood side by side, and together they decided how the world would be divided. The division of the realms, they did not fight over power. Instead, they cast lots, a simple, ancient way to let fate decide. Zeus drew the sky, the vast, endless heavens, filled with clouds, storms, and light. Poseidon drew the seas, every ocean, river, and lake, from the calm blue waters to the deepest abyss. And Hades drew the underworld, the silent realm of the dead, hidden beneath the surface of the earth. From this division, the world took shape, each realm with its own ruler and its own laws. But they were not alone. The other Olympians, each with their own domain, would live upon Mount Olympus, a palace above the clouds, where immortals feasted and watched over the world below. Zeus, king of the gods, Zeus, the youngest child of Rhea and Kronos, had now become the king of all gods and men. His symbol was the thunderbolt, for he could summon storms and strike the earth with blinding flashes of light. Zeus was also the god of law, justice, and order, ensuring that balance was kept in both the mortal and divine worlds. They say his voice was like rolling thunder, and his presence could calm or terrify with equal ease. Yet, Zeus was not perfect. Many stories tell of his temper, his jealousy, and his many love affairs, each of which would create new gods, heroes, and rivalries. Hera, queen of the gods. At Zeus's side was Hera. She was his sister, and also his wife. Hera was the goddess of marriage and family, a protector of women, and a guardian of sacred vows. Her symbol was the peacock, its feathers shimmering with 1,000 watchful eyes. Though graceful and wise, Hera was also known for her pride and for the punishments she gave to those who crossed her, especially the mortal women loved by Zeus. Poseidon, god of the seas in the deep, rolling waters. Poseidon ruled with his mighty trident. He could stir the ocean into a raging storm, or calm it to a glassy stillness with a single gesture. His realm was not only the seas, but also earthquakes. For the Greeks believed the shaking of the earth came from Poseidon's anger. He was powerful, unpredictable, and deeply respected by sailors and coastal towns. Hades, lord of the underworld, far below. In the silent, shadowed depths, Hades ruled the underworld. Unlike the fiery hells of later stories, the Greek underworld was a place of stillness, a realm where every soul eventually arrived, no matter their deeds in life. Hades was not cruel, but he was strict, ensuring the laws of life and death were never broken. Beside him was Persephone, queen of the underworld, whose story we will tell much later. Hestia, goddess of the hearth, gentle Hestia, the eldest of Cronus's children, chose not to rule a grand domain. Instead, she kept the hearth fire of Olympus burning, and was the goddess of home, family, and peace. Every home in Greece kept a flame for Hestia, believing her warmth protected the household. We will meet more of the Olympian gods soon. Athena, Apollo, Artemis, Ares, and more, each with their own realm and their own stories. But for now, the image of Mount Olympus, with its white marble halls, golden thrones, and ever-burning hearth, stands as the center of the divine world. Chapter 4. The creation of humans and the age of heroes in the early days, after the world had been divided and the Olympian gods had taken their thrones. The earth still felt empty. The mountains stood silent. The rivers flowed quietly to the sea. The sky shone bright, but there were few voices to echo back to it. And so the time came for the creation of humankind. Prometheus and the shaping of man. There was one Titan who had not fought against the Olympians. His name was Prometheus, wise, thoughtful, and a friend to the mortals that did not yet exist. Prometheus looked at the earth and imagined a new kind of being, one that could walk upright, think, dream, and build. And so he began to work. From the soft clay of the riverbanks, Prometheus shaped the first humans, carefully, slowly, giving them strong limbs, gentle faces, and curious eyes. When he was finished, Athena, goddess of wisdom, breathed life into them. The gift of fire the humans lived, but they were cold. They shivered in the night and feared the dark. Prometheus knew they needed something more, a gift that would change their fate forever. He climbed to the heavens, and from the chariot of the sun, he took a single spark. This spark he carried down to earth and gave to humankind. It was the gift of fire. With fire, they could cook food, stay warm, and keep the shadows at bay. But the gift came at a cost. Zeus's anger. When Zeus learned what Prometheus had done, he was furious. He believed fire belonged only to the gods, and that humans were not yet ready for such power. And so Zeus punished Prometheus. He ordered him chained to a great rock high in the mountains. There, each day, an eagle would come and tear at his liver. Each night, the wound would heal, and the next day, the eagle would return again. This would go on for eternity. But as with many tales in Greek mythology, there would come a time when a hero would set Prometheus free. Pandora. Zeus was not finished. To teach mankind a lesson, he decided to give them a different kind of gift. He ordered the gods to create the first woman, beautiful beyond compare. Her name was Pandora. The gods gave her many gifts: beauty from Aphrodite, music from Apollo, and charm from Hermes. But they also gave her a jar. They told her never to open it. Pandora lived among men, but her curiosity grew day by day until one moment she could resist no longer. She lifted the lid from the jar. Flew out all the sorrows of the world: pain, hunger, sickness, death. They scattered across the earth and could never be taken back. But at the very bottom of the jar, there was one thing left: hope. And so, though mankind would suffer, hope would always remain. The age of heroes begins. Time passed, and the world began to fill with stories. Mortals grew stronger, braver, and soon heroes would rise. They would face monsters, sail to distant lands, and even challenge the will of the gods themselves. The age of heroes was about to begin. Chapter 5. The first great heroes. In the quiet halls of Mount Olympus, the gods often looked down upon the earth. Sometimes they saw beauty, sometimes they saw chaos, and sometimes they decided to shape events by guiding the lives of mortals. From these moments, the great heroes of Greek mythology were born. Perseus, the slayer of Medusa long ago. In the kingdom of Argos, there was a prophecy that the king would be killed by his own grandson. To prevent this, King Heracles locked his daughter, Dano, in a bronze chamber. No man could reach her, but Zeus, king of the gods, came to her in the form of golden light. From this union, Dano gave birth to a son, Perseus. Fearing the prophecy, the king placed Dano and the infant Perseus into a wooden chest and cast them into the sea. The waves carried them to the island of Seriphos, where a kind fisherman took them in. Years passed. Perseus grew tall and strong, but the island's ruler, King Polydex, desired Dano and saw Perseus as an obstacle. He devised a dangerous challenge. "Bring me the head of Medusa," he said, knowing the task was almost certain to end Perseus's life. Medusa was a gorgon, a monstrous woman with snakes for hair, and a gaze that could turn any living thing to stone. The gods favored Perseus Athena gave him a polished bronze shield, Hermes a swift pair of winged sandals, and Hades a helm of invisibility. Guided by their gifts, Perseus traveled far to the very edge of the world, where Medusa slept among her sisters. He crept forward, using the shield's reflection to avoid her deadly eyes, and with one clean strike, he severed her head from her blood. Sprang the winged horse Pegasus and the warrior Chrysaor. Perseus returned triumphant, and later, the prophecy would come true, but not in the way the king had expected. Theseus, the hero of Athens, in the city of Athens, there was once a terrible burden. Every year, 7 young men and 7 young women were sent across the sea to the island of Crete. There, they were given to the Minotaur, a fearsome creature, half man, half bull, who lived deep within a twisting labyrinth. This tribute was demanded by King Minos of Crete as punishment for a past wrong. One year, a young prince named Theseus volunteered to be among the chosen. His plan was not to be sacrificed, but to end the Minotaur's reign forever. When he reached Crete, King Minos' daughter, Ariadne, fell in love with him. She gave him a ball of thread and told him to unwind it as he entered the labyrinth. It would be the only way to find his way back out. In the darkness, Theseus found the Minotaur. The battle was fierce, but Theseus struck the creature down. Following the trail of thread, he escaped the maze and sailed away with Ariadne, though their love would not last. In time, Theseus became king of Athens and a symbol of courage and cleverness. Heracles, the 12 labors among all the Greek heroes, none was as famous as Heracles. Known to the Romans as Hercules, the son of Zeus and the mortal woman Alcmene, Heracles was born with great strength, but his life was not without tragedy. The goddess Hera, jealous of Zeus's affairs, sent madness upon Heracles, causing him to commit a terrible act. To atone for this, he was given 12 impossible tasks, the 12 labors. One by one, Heracles faced them. He slew the Nemean lion, whose golden fur could not be pierced by weapons. He destroyed the Hydra, a serpent with many heads, which grew back to 4 every one he cut off. He captured the golden hind, outrunning it across forests and hills. He cleaned the Augean stables in a single day by diverting the course of a river. He stole the apples of the Hesperides and even brought back the 3-headed hound Cerberus. From the depths of the underworld, through his labors, Heracles proved himself not only as the strongest of men, but as a hero of endurance and will. His name would echo through history as the greatest of all Greek heroes. Chapter 6: The Trojan War and the Odyssey. Long ago, in a time between the age of gods and the age of men, there was a conflict so great that its stories would be told for thousands of years. It began not with an army, but with a wedding, the apple of discord on Mount Olympus. The gods gathered for the wedding of Peleus, a mortal king, and Thetis, a sea goddess. Every god and goddess was invited, except one, Eris, the goddess of strife. Angered, Eris appeared at the feast anyway. In her hand was a golden apple. Upon it she had written 3 words to the fairest. She tossed the apple into the crowd, and 3 goddesses claimed it: Hera, queen of the gods; Athena, goddess of wisdom; and Aphrodite, goddess of love. None would yield, and so they turned to a mortal man, Prince Paris of Troy, to decide who was the fairest of them all. The choice of Paris. Each goddess offered Paris a gift. Hera promised him power. Athena promised wisdom and skill in battle. Aphrodite promised him the most beautiful woman in the world. Paris chose Aphrodite, but the most beautiful woman, Helen, was already married to King Menelaus of Sparta. The abduction of Helen with Aphrodite's help. Paris traveled to Sparta and persuaded Helen to return with him to Troy. When Menelaus discovered this, his anger burned. He called upon his brother, Agamemnon, and together they summoned kings, warriors, and heroes from all over Greece to sail to Troy and bring Helen back. The siege of Troy, the Greek army sailed across the Aegean Sea, and for 10 long years they besieged the city of Troy. Among the warriors were names that would echo forever. Achilles, swiftest of men, Odysseus, the clever king of Ithaca, and Ajax, mighty as a fortress. The battles were fierce, but Troy's walls stood strong. The fall of Achilles, the greatest Greek warrior, was nearly invincible. But he had one weakness, his heel. Paris, guided by Apollo, shot an arrow that struck Achilles in this very spot. The hero fell, and the Greeks feared the war might be lost. The wooden horse, but Odysseus had a plan. The Greeks built a massive wooden horse and left it outside Troy's gates, pretending to retreat. The Trojans, thinking it a gift, brought it into the city. That night, Greek soldiers, hidden inside the horse, slipped out, opened the gates, and the Greek army poured in. Troy burned. The war was over. The Odyssey, Odysseus's journey home. The other kings returned to their homes. But for Odysseus, the journey was just beginning. His voyage would take 10 more years, filled with trials beyond imagining. He faced the one-eyed giant Polyphemus, who trapped him in a cave. He sailed past the island of the Sirens, whose voices could lure sailors to their doom. He braved the whirlpool Charybdis and the monster Scylla, who snatched men from his ship. On the island of the sun god Helios, his men defied a warning and were destroyed in a storm. For years, Odysseus wandered, until at last he reached Ithaca, disguised as a beggar. He reclaimed his home and was reunited with his faithful wife, Penelope. Chapter 7: The Final Myths and the Legacy of Greek Mythology. As the age of heroes came to an end, and the great wars faded into memory, the stories of Greek mythology began to turn inward to the hidden realms and the quiet truths of the gods. The underworld, deep beneath the earth, in the silent shadows, lay the underworld, the realm of Hades. It was not a place of fire and endless torment, but a vast, misty domain, divided into many parts. The fields of Asphodel, where most souls wandered, neither punished nor rewarded. The Elysian fields, bathed in golden light, where heroes and the righteous found eternal peace. And the Tartarus, a deep pit where the enemies of the gods, the titans, and other monstrous beings were kept in chains. The river Styx wound its way through the underworld, a dark current no soul could cross alone. The ferryman Charon would take them, but only if they had a coin for payment. And so, in life, the Greeks placed a coin beneath the tongue of the dead to pay their way into the afterlife. The fading of the gods in the oldest stories. The gods are eternal, unchanging, watching the rise and fall of cities and kings. But in time, the world began to change. New beliefs, new powers, new empires took the place of the old Olympian order. The temples grew quiet, the offerings grew fewer, and the gods faded from the mortal world, retreating to the myths and to the whispers of storytellers. The enduring legacy yet, even as centuries passed, their stories lived on. The courage of Perseus, the cleverness of Odysseus, the strength of Heracles, and the wisdom of Athena all became symbols, lessons to be told to children, and woven into the art, literature, and dreams of countless generations. We still speak of the Trojan horse, of someone's Achilles heel, of opening Pandora's box. We still gaze at the stars and see the constellations named for heroes and creatures from these ancient tales. And so, as our journey comes to a close, we return to the beginning, to that silent void called chaos, and to the thought that from nothing came everything. A world filled with gods, monsters, heroes, and the endless stories that still live on in the quiet corners of our imagination. Soft ending pause. This has been the entire story of Greek mythology. May it carry you into dreams where the ancient gods still walk among the clouds and the heroes still sail the wind-dark sea. Bonus chapter. The love stories of the gods. Greek mythology is not only about war and heroism, it is also filled with tales of love, longing, and tragedy. There was Orpheus and Eurydice, the musician who charmed even the stones, and journeyed into the underworld to bring back his beloved. He was granted her return, but told not to look back at her until they reached the surface. Yet, just steps away from the light, he turned, and she was gone forever. There was Pygmalion and Galatea, a sculptor who fell in love with the statue he carved. The goddess Aphrodite took pity and brought the statue to life. And there was Psyche and Eros, a mortal woman whose love for the god of desire was tested by impossible tasks, yet endured until she was made immortal. Each story reminds us that in the realm of gods and mortals alike, love is as powerful and as dangerous as any weapon. The great monsters of Greek myth beyond the walls of cities and the safety of hearth fires lurked creatures that filled the ancient world with fear. There was the Chimera, a beast with the body of a lion, the head of a goat upon its back, and a serpent for a tail, breathing fire with every roar. There was the Hydra, a serpent of many heads, each one growing back double when cut. The Sphinx, who blocked the road to Thebes, asking travelers her riddle. What walks on 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs at noon, and 3 legs in the evening? And the Cerberus, the great, letting no soul escape. These creatures were not only obstacles for heroes, but symbols of challenges in life, things that could only be overcome with courage, wisdom, and persistence. The stories in the stars. The Greeks looked up at the night sky and saw more than distant lights. They saw memories frozen forever in the heavens. Orion, the great hunter, placed among the stars after his death, still chasing the Pleiades across the night sky. Cassiopeia, the vain queen, punished to sit upon her throne in the heavens, forever upside down for part of the year. Pegasus, the winged horse, born from Medusa's blood, flying eternally through the darkness. And Andromeda, the princess once chained to a rock to be devoured by a sea monster, saved by Perseus, and now shining in the constellations beside him to the ancient Greeks. The stars were not just points of light, they were reminders that stories never truly end. They only move to a different place, waiting for someone to tell them again. And so, our long journey through the world of Greek mythology comes to an end. we have traveled from the empty silence of chaos to the birth of the gods and the rise of the Olympians. We have walked beside heroes, sailed across distant seas, and descended into the quiet depths of the underworld. We have seen love that defies time, monsters that test courage, and stars that hold ancient memories. Though the temples are silent now, and the offerings long gone, the stories remain. They live in our words, in the constellations above, and in the quiet corners of our dreams. So, as you rest, imagine the soft winds of Olympus brushing past you, the gentle lap of the sea ruled by Poseidon, and the warm glow of Hestia's eternal fire. May the gods watch over your dreams tonight, and may you awaken tomorrow with the strength of Heracles, the wisdom of Athena, and the hope that Pandora kept safe at the bottom of her jar. Good night.